In June 2026, the CEO of Anthropic, the company that builds Claude, sat down for an interview. This is the same man who, a year earlier, warned that AI could wipe out up to half of all entry level white collar jobs and push unemployment as high as 20%. His name is Dario Amodei. And here's what almost everyone missed. In the middle of all the warnings, he quietly handed out a survival map. He told you which jobs disappear first. He told you what's left when they do. He even told you how long you have. The clock on screen is not a metaphor. By his own timelines, the window to reposition your career is about 2 years. This video is that map, decoded into moves you can make starting today. Let's open the window. Start with the clock, because Dario Amodei is unusually specific about it. In his interviews, he says, we are, quote, near the end of the exponential, end quote, and that it's wild to him that most people don't see it. The concrete timelines are these: coding, fully automated in 1 to 2 years; AI that operates at the level of a country of geniuses in a data center in 1 to 3 years. And he puts 90% confidence on that basic picture, arriving within 10 years. At Anthropic, he says, roughly 90% of the code is already written by AI today. A model's ability to use a computer, like a human, jumped from about 15% to nearly 70% in a matter of months. Stack those numbers and they collapse into one uncomfortable truth. The shifts he's describing don't land in some distant decade. They land inside the next 2 years. That's the window. Not the apocalypse, the window. The only question that matters is what you do inside it. Now, the warning that made headlines. Speaking to Axios in 2025, Dario Amodei said AI could eliminate up to half of all entry level white collar jobs within 1 to 5 years and drive unemployment as high as 20%. The fields he named first were technology, finance, law, and consulting. His own words about how people reacted, quote, it sounds crazy and people just don't believe it. That disbelief is the trap. The roles most exposed are the ones built on repeatable desk work. Junior analysts, first year associates, paralegals, entry level coders, data entry, junior marketers. Not because those people aren't smart, but because the 90% of their job, that is pattern work, is exactly what these models do best and cheapest. If that's where you sit today, the clock is loudest for you. But notice the phrase he keeps using: entry level, repeatable, the 90%. That word 90 is about to become the whole game. Because here is where it gets interesting. A year after that warning, standing next to JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon, Dario Amodei reframed the whole thing. His exact words, quote, if you automate 90% of the job, then everyone does the 10% of the job. And the 10% expands to be 100% of what people do and kind of 10x's their productivity. End quote. A lot of people heard that and relaxed. Big mistake. Read it again. It is not comfort, it's a job description. He's telling you the new role. You survive by owning the 10% that doesn't automate. Is he softening the message because Anthropic is heading toward a public offering? Maybe. But it doesn't matter, because the instruction is identical either way. The people who keep their footing are the ones already doing the 10%, the judgment, the taste, the direction, instead of the 90 he's about to automate. So what exactly is the 10%? He told us that too. In the Bloomberg interview, Dario Amodei laid out what lasts longest against AI. It's a surprisingly human list: work with a physical component, hands, presence, the real world; work built on human relationships and trust; work that is fundamentally about judgment and evaluation, deciding what's good, what's right, what matters; and specialized frontier domains like hardware and biotech, where progress is gated by atoms, not just tokens. His sharpest example: AI won't replace doctors. The diagnosis can be assisted, but the judgment call and the conversation with a frightened patient stay human. Now map yourself onto this list honestly. The closer your day is to pure screen based pattern work, the more exposed you are. The closer it is to judgment, relationships, and the physical world, the deeper your moat. This is not about being safe or doomed. Every job is a blend. The move is to shift your mix deliberately toward the parts AI can't take. Which brings us to the clearest signal he gave. On the show, he said something that sounds contradictory until you sit with it. Quote: coding is going away first. The broader task of software engineering will take longer. End quote. Think about what that actually means. The typing, turning a clear spec into syntax, goes first. But understanding what to build, setting technical direction, making the trade offs, owning whether it's correct, that survives. And this is not just a programming story, it is the template for every single field. The doing gets automated, the deciding does not. In law, drafting goes, judgment stays. In finance, the model's output goes, the call on what to do with it stays. In marketing, the first draft goes, the taste and the strategy stay. Everywhere, the same split: the keystrokes versus the calls. So, the universal move is to climb from the keystrokes to the calls in whatever it is you do. Here's how in four concrete steps. Move 1: own the 10%. Stop measuring your value by the volume of work you produce and start measuring it by the quality of the decisions you make. In practice, that means three shifts. First, get fluent at evaluation. Be the person who can look at AI output and know instantly what's wrong with it. That skill, judging quality, is the 10% Dario keeps pointing at. Second, take accountability. Nobody can hand to a model. Own the outcome, the client relationship, the final call. Third, develop taste. When generating a draft costs nothing, the scarce skill becomes knowing which draft is actually good. If your current role is 90% production, start volunteering for the 10% now: the review, the strategy, the direction, before the production part is gone. You want to already be standing in the 10% when the automation arrives, not scrambling for it afterward. Move 2: become the orchestrator, not the operator. Dario Amodei's entire company is built on a bet that AI does the doing while humans set the direction. So stop competing with the model on speed and start directing it. The single highest leverage skill for the next 2 years is being the person who runs AI instead of the person AI replaces. Learn to break a real problem into tasks a model can execute. Learn to wire tools like Claude together into something that runs a whole workflow, not just a single trick. The gap is already visible. At Anthropic, 90% of the code is AI written, but it still takes humans to decide what to build and to catch it when it's wrong. Be that human. The orchestrator captures the productivity gain Dario described. the 10x instead of being the cost it cuts. This is the most learnable skill on the whole list, and almost nobody is seriously practicing it yet. Move 3. Anchor part of your career in the things AI structurally cannot copy. Go back to his list: physical presence, relationships, trust, real world judgment. Those aren't soft skills, they are your moat. The doctor doesn't survive because of medical facts. The model has those. The doctor survives because a scared human needs another human to look them in the eye. The salesperson, the negotiator, the leader, the craftsperson, the nurse, the contractor, their core can't be downloaded. So invest in that unautomatable layer deliberately. Build a real network, not a follower count. Get good at the in person, high trust moments. Develop at least one skill that touches the physical world. Even in a fully digital job, the relationship and the judgment around the work outlast the work itself. AI floods the world with cheap, competent output. That makes trust and human judgment more valuable, not less. Move 4. Use the gap as runway. Even Dario Amodei, who is as bullish as anyone alive, admits the technology spreads, quote, much faster than any previous technology, but it has limits. Capability arrives fast. Adoption is slower, held up by enterprises, by regulation, by security, legal, and compliance reviews. That lag is the most underrated asset you have. It is your runway. So position yourself where adoption is slowest. Regulated industries, high trust enterprise work, anything where the cost of being wrong is high. Not to hide from AI, but to buy yourself time and then to become the person inside that slow moving world who actually knows how to deploy it safely. The capability is roughly 2 years out. Full diffusion is longer. The people who win use that gap to reposition before the wave fully lands, instead of getting caught flat when it does. The window only helps you if you move while it is open. Here's the honest part: nobody knows if Dario Amodei's timelines are exactly right. He could be early, he could be late. He has every incentive to sound dramatic. But you don't have to believe his dates to use his map, because the direction is the same whether it takes 2 years or 6. The doing gets automated. The deciding, the relationships, the judgment, the physical, those compound in value. He's near the end of his exponential. You're near the start of your window. And the brutal little truth is this: that window closes on its own schedule, whether or not you do anything about it. The people who come out ahead are not the ones who guess the date. They are the ones who started moving while it was still open. So pick one of those 4 moves and start it this week. If this was useful, do 2 quick things because it genuinely helps this channel keep going. Subscribe here on YouTube and follow Hyper Automation Labs on Instagram and Facebook. I break down every major AI shift into moves you can actually use, and I don't want you to miss the next one. If you want to go deeper, the 4 guides linked below are everything I've learned building and shipping with these tools. And huge credit to Dario Amodei and to Bloomberg's The Circuit for the original interview. The link is in the description. One last thing: don't just watch this and nod along. Pick one of the 4 moves and start it this week while the window is still open. I'll see you in the next one.